Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling, and let's see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today, where here in UK at least it's even hotter than it was yesterday, and I am obviously hot, I guess. I mean, I don't know how I was going to end that sentence. I was going to be like sweating, and I was like, that's a bit TMI. I guess I'm not really that much, but it is like, you know, it's humid, it's stuffy, it's the summer months, I suppose, and the global warming affecting us all, and now we are feeling the first-hand effects of it. But you know, that's a sad thing to talk about, so let's not talk about that. We're here to play some Animal Crossing and vibe, you know, with it, with our villagers, and do what we do. Yeah, chill and laid back. I don't know the lyrics to the song. This is how we do. Okay, enough of that. Hello there, everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 2:28 PM on Sunday, July 18th, 2021. And there isn't news to speak of today, but crossword puzzle, good stuff, Isabel. You did it. Woo! Good job, Isabel. Round of applause for Isabel, everyone. Get a round of applause because I did it like around the microphone. I don't know if you can actually hear that or not, but you have my word, I physically did it. Yeah, so we'll go about our usual business. Sunday, yes. So there's of course not going to be any visitors of note, and we're just going to be farming up Nook Mile mission points as we have been doing for quite a while, and we got quite a backlog of points. What have I been up to today? Not much, to be honest. I just played some. Oh wait, hold on. This is new. Guess what, dear? It's time for a riddle. What did the cake say while cutting an onion? This sounds like a joke. I'm in tears, Claude. Ba 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 bum. That's not really a riddle, Claude. Am I saying that? It's very much just a joke. Yo, touchdown. Hey, I heard you got a throwback wrestling figure. You want it? Sure. Like, I mean, you can have it for free. I don't really need your money, but you want like 1,000,000 bells? Here you go. Oh well. Let's not flaunt my wealth like that sort of thing. It's a little bit patronising, isn't it? I'm sure Rowan's just out here trying to live his life. Hello, little birdie. What are you going to talk over? It's a bug-off competition coming on July 24th. Is this the one I missed? This might be the one I've missed. Claude and Lily just chilling there. Yeah, what have I been up to today? I just played some Animal Crossing. Well, I mean, yes, I am playing Animal Crossing, but that's not what I meant. I played some Binding of Isaac, as per usual. I was going to do some drawing, but I was like, I'm too hot. I can't be bothered. So I didn't. Not yet, at least. But I will do some. Oh no, it's the August one I'm missing. Okay. Apparently everyone is just here. What on earth? Why is everyone here? Not that they can't be here. I'm not trying to ban them from the town square or anything like that. Yeah, I played some Binding of Isaac, and then I just watched some videos. I just watched some draw free streams of some VODs. If you're curious, it's too hot to do things. And then after I record this, I'll probably be playing some A Way Out with Benedict, and would that be quite some fun? What am I doing? I don't need to do anything here. Alright, let's leave. I don't even know what I'm going to talk about today. There's not really been any big gaming news. I don't think so. Hold on, let's check the front of r/games. See if anything interesting is going on. Oh yeah, Jelly's Marble Run. The game is coming out, which is, if you don't know, it's it used to be called the Marble Olympics, but now it's called Marble League, which is basically the Olympics, but for some marble-like characters. By the way, Crazy Cat's Eyes. Eyes have a prize. That's a team I support. And apparently they won like one of the most recent competitions, which is astonishing because they're very much in the middle of a pack team, and I don't know how. Apparently they absolutely demolished it. So I was like, okay, fair enough. Apparently they got a game coming out. It sounds quite amusing. I don't know how good it would be. Would I pick it up? Probably not. Would I do a let's play on it? Probably not. But the fact that they're expanding out their brand, I think, is always good fun. Let's see, this is like a fever dream, marble racing, I don't know, let's not talk about this. Go back to Marble Olympics or whatever. There's a video I've done on it already. If you're so curious about me talking about it and that sort of thing. It was such a whiplash of a conversation, but I just like had a random memory like crop up in my brain like 10 minutes before I started recording. You ever get that? You just thinking about things and you just remember something random from like primary school or whatever. This is a really random memory, but it was in primary school, you know, as I said. And it was, what was the context behind it? We were playing some Simon Says, that was it. But I think I must have been about year 2 or so that makes me about 7, I think. We're playing some, do we need to collect shells? I forgot what our missions are. Fish, chop tree, craft, fossils, change. Okay. We're playing some Simon Says with the whole class, and it was a very intense match with the entire class, and then eventually it came down to just me and this other guy. We'll call him H for now. So me and H, you know, H was a pretty sporty person and I was a pretty academic person, I suppose, at the time. not to say that I was not that bad at sports. I was good at athletics back then, comparatively. And then also, he was also pretty clever as well. He was rather competitive and that sort of thing. And I suppose back then, I guess I kind of was as well. Let's not hide really and say I wasn't. I very much, you know, as younger people do, have a high opinion of yourself, being like, oh yeah, I should be really good. So of course we were both try-harding the heck out of this Simon Says game, concentrating really hard, and then our teacher just kept going like escalating up and up and up, trying to actually catch us out, because she's obviously like, well, I didn't expect the Simon Says game to go on this long, and these two students are a little bit too determined to win this thing, so we're just like at it, and it just kept speeding up, and then eventually I did lose. You know, it was an unfortunate thing. I think it was like make a rainbow or something, and when what it means by making a rainbow is basically you put your feet on the ground and you put your arms on the ground as well, and because it was just going so fast, I just made a mistake. She didn't say Simon Says, and I made a rainbow. I was like, oh no, I lost. And then you would have thought of it would be some weird bad end story where, you know, I just like throw a tantrum or something because I didn't win, or maybe he was viciously arrogant, but he wasn't, you know. For some reason, like in this one moment when I was 7-year-old, I decided to have a maturity of an adult or whatever, you know, and I lost, and I went, haha. And I laughed, and I was like, oh, you know, that was a good match, and I walked over to him, because there was about like 1 meter and 2 meters between us, so I was like, oh, you know, that was a good match, and then I offered a handshake, and he took the handshake, and I was like, yeah, you know what, you too. And for some reason, I don't know why we did it, it was as if perhaps I was mimicking something I saw on TV recently. I don't know why I'm collecting seashells, that's not what I meant to do. What am I meant to do? Did I chop down a tree? I chopped down a tree, right? I was meant to do fishing, that's what I'm doing. Fishing, fossils, and crafting. Perhaps I was emulating something I saw on TV, but I was like, you know what? This is true sportsmanship. So, you know, we had a handshake of like a match well played of Simon Says in front of the whole class. But the teacher found it funny. As she should do, because it was just like, you know, a 6 and a 7-year-old or whatever. Trying to be, not trying to be, but like we're just so innocently sportsmanlike, I suppose. Like the fact that, you know, especially at that age, it's very easy for some kids to be like, I'm a winner, you suck, or that sort of thing. But here we are, just, you know, showing good sportsmanship and having a handshake and congratulating each other on the challenge we both posed to each other and the competition afterwards. And then I don't know, the teacher actually saw that as a good teaching moment or whatever, and was like, she laughed about it, and she explained to the class about like handshakes and sportsmanship and that sort of thing. And then I remember as we went to sit down, Megan, and listen to the next part of this PE lesson, because I don't know, apparently that counts as exercise, is doing Simon Says. I think it was probably just a warm up for PE, I can't remember, or maybe a cool down at the end. And then the entire class was now just doing handshakes to each other. I remember as we went to sit down, the entire class was just like looking at each other, handshaking, and then we just like turned around and handshaked to the person next to them. I don't know why I randomly remember that memory, but it was something that was apparently been buried deep in my subconscious for about, how old am I? 17 years, 16 years or so, and it just randomly resurfaced. So there's a lesson. Apparently I was just randomly sportsmanlike when I was 7 in some very competitive match of Simon Says. I honestly could not tell you why I did it. I think it must have been I saw someone do it like on TV or something. Like we watched like maybe it's like the Olympics or some like sports match, and I just saw them handshake at the end, and I was like, oh, that seems like fun. So I just copied it, and you know, I guess it just goes to show you how impressionable kids are. If you show them sportsman-like behaviour, that's probably the things I'll emulate in the future, in their future matches, and that's honestly very admirable. Like if I saw a kid, like even after losing, going up to the opposition and being like good match everyone, and like offering them handshakes even though I lost, I'd be like, this kid is probably more mature than like 80% of like young adults. I see, maybe even just normal adults. Kids see, kids do. And you know, it's difficult, I think, especially when you're younger, for kids to okay, maybe it's not difficult, but like kids, I suppose, don't really understand the concept of humility and like fair play and competition as much. Right? They do, mind you, a lot of them do. It's just like obviously when you're a kid, and I suppose it's you haven't dealt with as much disappointment and failure when you're younger, so dealing with not managing to win can feel really disappointing when you're a kid. And as opposed to when you're an adult where you faced it countless times before. You're such just like, yeah, no, this is his path. Of course, like, of course I wanted to win, but, you know, I'm not going to be sour over losing. So I feel like it's a rather natural reaction for kids to, not necessarily for like a hissy fit, but be like overly sour over losing, I suppose, compared to, you know, adults. Hopefully, obviously, not always the case. And you'd be amazed how often you'd find people who are sour even into adulthood about losing something. Or salty, I should say. What? Butterfly fish model? You can sell fish models? I'd feel bye-bye. The villagers can sell fish models? What? Huh? Oh, it's not one of Flick's models. It's a wall decoration. Okay, that makes more sense. I was actually losing my mind because it's the first time I've ever seen this. A villager supplying me with one of Flick's models or that sort of thing. I was just like, what? That is insanity, but here we are. Here we are. Okay, I really got to stop bursting out into that song every single time. But yeah, I mean, kids emulate sportsmanship, and I feel like sportsmanship is obviously an important part of any competition in sports, you know? Fair play, being respectable. And I feel like part of it's kind of sad whenever you see people just being really bitter or like cheating or like exploiting rules and that sort of thing when it comes to sports. It's like, yeah, I understand the drive and the competition that you want to win, but I feel like it doesn't really feel like a victory if it's hollow and, you know, you have to break the rules or technicalities or something. Earn that victory, you know? It's all about being in the spirit of things. But I suppose this is the sort of mindset which drives my lack of competitive nature. Like, if I'm playing a game with someone and they were just like, oh, we made a mistake, they'll be like, oh wait, can I go back and redo that? And I'll be like, yeah, go for it, why not, you know? Because it's just the way I view things, I suppose. I won't say it's inherently better than other people, because of course, you know, there is definitely benefits to actually winning these competitions and giving people a chance on money and making them, I suppose, not feel so patronised too if they're going against a challenge and they feel like they're being handed a win. If I'm just like, oh yeah, go for it, why not? Sorry, let me drink some water. Stay hydrated in this heat. What's the saying? Yeah, but like, I mean, I always play along with being like, what's in the spirit of the game or that sort of thing. So obviously I'll give it my best shot, but if I don't win, then so be it. If I do win, then so be it, you know? I suppose that I tend to be a little bit too relaxed when it comes to like recreational competition. When it comes to competition which actually like has an impact on something, you know, like academic competitions, that sort of thing, I do just try hard because, you know, why wouldn't you? That actually has some sort of bearing. But if it's just like for fun, I guess it's because I don't find as much fun in competition. I don't really care if I win in the end. And I've talked about this ad nauseum before. It's sort of just like I don't really do it much anymore, or I can't at least remember last time I did it, but I used to like, if we had recreational competitive things and I felt like the other person was getting too frustrated, if I kept beating them or someone else kept beating them, I would unpurposely throw the game for them. Obviously that's very patronising, and it's sort of something you do. It's sort of something you do with like, if you have like a 6-year-old kid or something, or child. Which is not really fair, because the people that do it would be my peers, you know. Obviously I don't do it anymore because I'm like, that's not really how you should do it. If you want to, like if you feel like they're getting frustrated and they want to put up a win, you give them advice about what you're doing and tell them how to beat you and that sort of thing. Which I used to do when I played TFT with that sort of thing. I try and give advice of how to beat me, like how you should position your team against me so you can win and that sort of thing. But obviously, you know, because I had more experience, I would still do it better and faster than them. But, you know, it's like a teaching moment at the same time. But there's a good balance, you know. It's sort of like going in the complete opposite direction of being younger and being like so overly competitive. You would leverage any advantage you get into like giving away far too many advantages to nullify the point of a competition in the first place. You know, competition can be fun as long as it's all in good favour, good sportsmanship, and all that good things. So, yeah, obviously kids sort of mimic what they see adults doing, and a lot of kids often have like sports celebrity idols. where tons of people have like a favourite footballer, favourite whatever, basketball player, etc, etc. I don't know what other sports are popular, but insert blank or whatever popular sport you've got in mind, and that's exactly what kind of situation you're in. But kids tend to emulate exactly what they see a lot, so the fact that it's not, I feel like it is emphasised in the sports part that sportsmanship is like the pinnacle of the whole point of a competition, or maybe not the whole point of it, but it's like should not be sullied. The whole point is acting in good favour. But then it always comes to weird like technical points, because these competitions are obviously a lot higher stakes. Perhaps it's easy to say for like these like primary school competitions, that sort of thing. They've got no stakes, they've got no bearings, they've got no like financial impact or career impact on the people playing, where it's literally just for fun. But you get these weird edge cases where it's sort of just like which way he is a sportsman-like thing to do. Not that I can really think of stuff, but I can think of stuff like controversial things which happen in the Olympics. Like I don't really watch all that much. I used to watch fencing and archery, badminton. That's kind of it, because there's the sports I enjoyed playing. So it's kind of ones I watch sometimes. But there was that like scandal, or maybe not scandal is the right word, but controversy, I suppose, with the fencing, one of the fencing disciplines. I don't remember which one, foil or something, between I think it was like a South Korean woman and a Danish one. I can't remember. Perhaps I just look it up. Like, I can't speak on. It's a heat getting to me. South Korean fencing. Was it 2012? Shin Alam. South Korean fencer. Excel Arena. Yeah, this one. Yeah, it was this one. After Britta Heidemann. German, how is it? Oh, it's the Epee division, there you go. But, oh yeah, there was a thing where there was like a technical issue with one of the equipment, so the clock had to be reset from like a 0.1 second, despite the fact the clock was reset from 0 to 1 second, the score was 5-5 at the time, but definitely the amount of time left on the clock was certainly under 1 second, but the clock can actually be reset to like parts of a second or something. And when the action resumed. Oh yeah, and then the German fencer, like basically the timing was reset in the German fencer's favour, and she just went from like some sort of Hail Mary hit at the end, which actually got her into the finals and knocked out the South Korean one, and it was incredibly unfair to the South Korean one, and they like fought against it, but the Olympic people were just like, nah. whatever, and she just kind of got cheated out of a medal or a podium place about something, which really sucks for her. And there's that famous picture of just her crying on the what's the fencing strip thing called? For good reason. She got cheated out of basically her medal, not cheated out, and then it was basically just a terrible situation all around. If I remember, because I remember a lot of people just being obviously on the South Korean girl side, because it was she was in the right, from what I remember. But then so many people were just so incredibly rude to the German fencer. It was like, what's a German fencer gonna do? It's like, it's not shit like, is it the Olympic officials? I see, that's quite cute. We're like, this is how we're gonna do it. She's just gonna be like, nah, whatever, Yeah. But so many people being like, oh, she should have just thrown the match or whatever. So the South Korean fencer should win, and while I can understand that sentiment being like, yeah, she should, because technically if she was like, oh, she wanted the match to be exact fair play and that sort of thing, it's not really her place to judge exactly how the match is going to be run. That's exactly what the officiators and judges are there for. But also, what would you do in that situation? This is a literal Olympic medal on the line. This could be literally career defining and sponsorship things, and if a committee has ruled it that certain way, and she's just got to fight her fight with that sort of thing. She's just gonna play the sport and that sort of thing, and what can she really do? Now you might say, what would I do in that competition? I like to think I'd probably be like, no, you know what, because this is the point, because it was ambiguous, wasn't it? It was like a draw when the clock was reset from 1 to 0 second, but I believe a South Korean fencer had like a priority or something. I forget exactly. It's like, what would you do in that situation? Like, even if a clock wasn't reset, you'd probably still go for that do or die Hail Mary sort of hit because you have to, otherwise you'd lose, and maybe you'd still get the point then. But now you had much more time to actually get it done, and she didn't have time to reactively play defensively or whatever. And it's just like, it's basically just a terrible situation all around, and I absolutely do not advocate for any sort of witch hunting or harassment of, well, anyone really. Just don't do it. Just like, be kind to people and that sort of thing. Some people obviously can be quite rude, and some people you might want to argue do deserve it, but you know, don't give them that sort of attention. Don't waste your experience and your life on them, on spreading hate on that sort of thing, is what I say. You know, let them suffer the punishment of consequences of law, and that be that, you know, and then forget about them. Erase them from your memory. Not erase them from your memory. So otherwise it sort of be like, those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. But you know what? Just like, leave it at that. Better not waste your time. Go spend your time doing things you like and that sort of thing. Anyway, let's read this article just so I can make sure I don't get the story wrong. It's on The Guardian. 25-year-old thought she was through to the final of a women's épée when, to her horror and that of a coach, the clock was reset from 0 to 1 second. Oh shit! It was even worse than I remember. She was actually should have been through by this point, but then the clock was reset. Score was 5-5 at time, but that would have been good enough for her under the rule of when one fencer is awarded priority in the épée disciplines and foil as well. I think there's the rule of priority of one fencer basically being on the attack and one fencer being on the defense, which like determines whether hits are legitimate or not. I can't remember exactly. When the action resumed, the German fencer scored a do-or-die hit that eventually put her into the final against Ukraine, which is, you know, like, kind of fair enough. Like, she's put in a tough decision. It's like, does she give up, the German fencer at least, does she give up, like, her chance at medal, which she may never ever get again, and technically the officials ruled in her favour anyway, even if that was a very controversial and strange decision in the first place? Or does she just, like, give up her chance and that sort of thing? Like, as easy as it is for people to say, to be like, oh, you know, being sportsmen, like, you know, matters the most, she doesn't really get anything from it, I suppose, apart from just like, it's not going to pay her bills, I suppose, is what I mean. And the amount of people that be absolutely furious with her, like on my coaching staff, is just sort of like she's been put in an awful situation that I don't really know what to do. Could turn out that she might be milkshake ducked on me, she was actually a horrible person, and, you know, or whatever. I don't really know. This is just from, like, my layman's perspective outside looking in. I would just be like, I wouldn't know what to do. I think I probably would just be like, no, you know, I refuse, she should have won. But I could totally see myself in the heat of the moment being like, oh, maybe I misunderstood. Maybe actually the clock should have been reset and this was a legitimate thing. In which case, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to try and do a do-or-die Hail Mary hit because that's the only way I can save my chance of going to the finals. I could totally see that happening, and it's not a good situation for anyone to be in. Korean coach furiously launched an appeal against the decision that had allowed the fight to continue. And her opponent celebrated, while the Korean fencer broke down in tears. Like, I don't know. That part, I don't want to be too judgmental because I don't know exactly the situation, but I'd feel horrible celebrating that while my opponent was in tears in front of me. But, you know, I guess the Olympics are quite an emotional thing in the first place, right? I could totally, you know, see my opponent, or even me, being really sad for not being able to make it into a finals, for being that close after all the hard training, or that sort of thing. This is a very emotional thing. Amazing, she went back on a few minutes later for a bronze contest from 11-11 with under 2 minutes left. She lost to world number 1. That left the stage, or okay, so she lost out on any podium chance for it. I think it's unfair. The 1 second was over. I should have won. The hour was really difficult, but I thought if I got yellow card for leaving pits, I might not be able to fight for bronze. I'm very sorry for spectators. Oh, how on earth did I end up on this dog? Spent a lot of money on it. I don't understand how that could happen. I believe she still won the gold medal and the team won later. You're moving away. Absolutely not, Amelia. What? You can't go? So yeah, she did eventually get a medal in the end, which is nice, but she could have had two medals, potentially, I don't know. It's just like, what a terrible situation for everyone to be around. And really, I'm ragging on about the competitors. It's not the competitors' fault. This is absolutely up to the referees and the committee's fault. isn't it? They should be an upholder of exactly rules properly. You know, they should enforce the rules in the spirit of a game and that sort of thing. And you know, that was seems to me very much not in the spirit of the games, and it just led to a terrible situation for everyone. So what can you really do about it? I don't know. She's got a Wikipedia article about this as well. Let's see, I might have more details about it. She also, after timekeeping error extended about time. Situation arose at the end of a 1 minute overtime, sudden death of a match tied 5-5. Without the extension, she would have tied the bout based on basis of priority. Okay, so they were in sudden death because the match was tied and where basically the next point wins. But the 1 minute of sudden death finished with her being in priority because that's how it goes. The priority goes back and forth. And I believe, I'm not sure if it's the case in Epee, but I think it was in foil. If you can only score a hit if you have priority. You might wonder how do you get priority back if you get a nice parry. That gives you priority. There's some other things, but I can't really remember what off the top of my head. It's been a long time since I've done fencing, okay? With 1 whole second left showing on the official clock, Heidemann made 2 rapid attacks in succession, both halted by double touches. The clock on the arena continued to show 1 second because it could not display decimal fractions of a second. The referee called a halt to the bout. At this point, the timekeeper restarted the clock and it inadverted expiring all the remaining time, reportedly about 0.02 seconds. This action caused the arena clock to show 0, giving Shin reason to celebrate. However, error was noted, and since an overtime minute had been fenced in its entirety, the referee applied the FIE rule. What the heck? 1 whole, which states in the event of a failure of a clock or an error by the timekeeper, a referee must estimate how much time is left. Timekeeper, with referee's permission, reset the clock to 1 second. 1 whole second being the minimum unit of time possible. Following the resumption of a bout, the German one scored a single touch just as the 4 second expired. The result was partly due to a failure of referee to stop both fences restarting closer than. The result was partly due to a failure of a referee to stop both fences restarting closer than the specified distance. Heidemann's crowding to hurry her attack and Shin trying to avoid retreating across her end line. What does crowding to hurry her attack mean? I don't really know what that means. And Shin not wanting to retreat past her end lines, basically if I believe you lose a point or whatever, you go too far backwards. To basically not encourage you to retreat the entire time. That's my fencing memories. Let's talk to some of our village today. The South Marines immediately appealed a decision stating that 0.02 seconds had already elapsed and the final touch had occurred after the end of the bout. In accordance with fencing bylaws, Shin could not leave a pistol while the officials deliberated the situation. Sobbing profusely, she sat alone for an hour overwaiting the decision. Ultimately, the judges gave a victory to Heidemann. She returned for a bronze medal, but lost to a Chinese opponent despite loud encouragement and cheering from the crowd, which just feels sad. Offered a special medal after a semi-final defeat, she rejected the offer, saying it does not make me feel better because it's not an Olympic medal. I do not accept the result because I believe it was a mistake. Fair enough. She won a silver medal in the women's team Epee competition 5 days later. Ah yeah, that was it. Just like, what a terrible situation all around. Apparently she was the king of a masked singer contestant. Fair enough. I can't imagine how heart-wrenching it'd be to be robbed of a medal just like that, you know? Like, what do you do? It's just like, there's no good end. But yeah, anyway, like sportsman-like behaviour and that sort of thing. Oh, there's a medal record. Did she get more medals? Well, she got a Olympic medal in the end, which is what counts. That feels terrible. But what I remember from the news is like the German fence got a lot of like online harassment or something about it, which I was like, yes, like even if it obviously went in her favour and it probably shouldn't have, and or whatever, and she benefited from it, like that's not really a good excuse to harass anyone. It's like, why do people feel the need to harass people? Just don't. It's so easy. You just don't. I know it's like such a stupid thing to say, like, oh, just don't do something. But like, what? I can't even like imagine what headspace you need to be in to be like, oh, this is a very rational way to go about things. It's a terrible situation. You should, like, formal complaints to the refereeing decision and the committee about something, definitely fair. Harassment to the actual athletes themselves, what? That's just, I don't know. People can be very mean sometimes, but a lot of people are very nice. And you know, sportsmanship, practice good sportsmanship in any sort of competition you do. That's my tying together point, I suppose, after all of this. So, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Darling. Likes, comments, subscriptions are greatly appreciated. Join Darling Discord down below and follow me on Twitter. I hope we can see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now. GG, I guess. Is that how I'm going to end this off? I guess so.